Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Inner Circle. We are continuing with more variations from Cartier, um, still all in precious metal. This time I have two yellow golds and one pink gold piece. I wanted to venture out a little bit. So even though two of the three are technically still rectangular and one is still called tank, I think they are significantly different than the tank shape that we are used to. So they justify a category of their own. Remember, I had skipped a day earlier this week. So this is my makeup episode to you. Cartier Pasha is, of course, a model introduced in 1984, inspired at once by the first waterproof watch that Cartier made um, on a commission from the Pasha of Marrakesh, Cartier étanche, which basically means waterproof. So I'm not even sure about the historical nuance and whether that was an actual model name. And all of this remains even more unclear, even murkier, because the original watch is actually lost to the ages. But this was something finally conceived and realized by none other than Gerard Jantin, and of course comes more than a decade later, after his groundbreaking design for Audemars Piguet in the Royal Oak. So in a way, if the pole router is the work of a youthful Jantin, and if he has already matured by the Royal Oak and the Nautilus, we have here something that might be understood as really one of his masterworks. And from a design perspective, it is a watch that I really appreciate, even though I don't like it as much as I like the Royal Oak. Perfectly round case combined with T lugs, which come to be beautifully accentuated when the watch is combined with a leather strap. Those T lugs are often called Vendôme lugs because they are derived from the original design of Louis Cartier. The canteen style crown guard, topped off with a sapphire cabochon, which can be taken off to manipulate the crown to set the time. Two elements of Janta's larger design language are very much at play in this piece as well, um, with the tension or interplay most apparent between the perfectly round case and the rectangular center of the dial, which is framed by a railroad track for the minutes. There is also in this late 80s model, so from the first few years, more or less, a kind of cross like design that alternates with the Arabic numerals, with the stylized italicized Arabic numerals put at the quarters. And in one of them, namely the one between 3 and 6, you find the date window, which is accentuated by a magnifier. And you also have a set of heat blued hands, thin, very thin, and sleek second hand, of course, but also lozenge or diamond shaped hands, which give the watch a very sporty feel, even in this classic design and even in this precious metal 18 karat yellow gold case. They are also generously filled with lume, as is, of course, the pip, which takes part of the indicator on the rotational timing bezel, of which the first 20 minutes are graduated. The dial is the most stunning part on this. You see how dimensional those numerals are and all the elements, all the other elements of the case in this kind of chocolate brown to black on a nicely textured champagne dial, finely textured, I should say. Just a very balanced and beautifully designed piece, which is relatively well preserved. I think it has seen maybe one round of polish at a certain point, and it is worn, but not in any way abused. I think very charming piece, and it actually comes with an original box, which is a nice detail for a Cartier, even though I'm not even sure if it actually belongs to this watch. But hey, the red box is cool, and the booklet that is supplied is actually for the Pasha. This particular piece is for me an absolute bargain for something like this. Reference 3380 for $6,608, listed by a professional dealer out of Germany. We're going into something a little more well worn and very distinctly stylized. This is the Cristalor, kind of a stepped case design. Similar designs, of which similar designs you can see in Jarajanta's actually own line of watches. Almost a pyramidal structure, even though it's very fine and mostly registers as the base of a majestic column, or maybe specifically that pyramid. The piece is matched once again with déployant buckle in 18 carats yellow gold, silver dial, Roman numerals, secret signature at 7 o'clock, and a railroad track for the minutes with the heat blued stainless steel hour and minute hands, beautifully distinct from the silver dial and wonderfully complementary to the sapphire cabochon that is set on the beaded crown. Again, the piece is in this case a little well worn. It thankfully, for that reason, perhaps preserves the distinct lines of the case. I'm sure it can be polished if you would like, but I believe it looks the part of a vintage dress watch. The dimensions are grade 2, 24 to 30 millimeters. The piece is, I think, offered with a Cartier box, which is claimed to be the original, but who really knows? This is a professional dealer out of Belgium who has listed this watch for 6,077 US dollars on Chrono 24. The last piece of the day, we are jumping quite a bit up in terms of the price point, but well worth it. You are looking at a recent iteration of the Cartier Tank Centré. Tank Centré is perhaps one of the most stylistic and certainly stylized versions of the Cartier tank. The piece has had an important resurgence more recently, mostly thanks to collectors like Roni Madwani, and maybe also after him, people like Waco and others. But of course, most famously, this was the style of watch that was on the wrist of none other than Steve McQueen uh, on the film Thomas Crown Affair when he was playing the title character in the 1968 original. I believe this is one of the versions revived in 2018. A pink gold case matched with a chocolate brown dial that has a subtle but beautiful sunburst that the pictures didn't quite catch, matched with a classic C shaped, wishbone styled Cartier tank buckle. And I believe on its original strap as well. All of that being said, for better or worse, this watch is naked, so it's not actually offered with any accessories, any of the presentation material, but the price point is reasonable, all things said and done. This is the Tank Centré reference 4122 in 18 karat pink gold with a chocolate brown sunburst dial, offered by a professional dealer out of the United States for 22,000 US dollars. That is the buy it now price. They do entertain offers, so feel free to send in something that is more befitting of your budget. I think this is going to be a tough choice again, but I think at this price point, I would go for the Pasha, um, an early enough version that presents such a good deal and such a great dress watch if you are moving from the direction of sports watches into something that is perhaps a little flashier, a little more sleek, a little more befitting of a lounge lizard. This is one to go for. This is one to die for. And that is my pick of the litter. Please let me know if you have any questions about Cartier watches, about their distinctive styling. If you want to know more about the horology that goes behind the scenes, the movements that beat under the hood, I would highly appreciate that as well. So send me any questions here on Patreon. You can also write to me at Lord Hellespont V at gmail.com. That is Lord Hellespont V at gmail.com. Um, Lord Hellespont V, I meant. And of course, you can find me as young.brando on Instagram. So send me a line. I'll see you on the live stream later tonight. Take care.